independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're getting some very good numbers. It looks like the numbers are going to be very good into the future. We're going to be very strong, starting with our transition period, which will be probably June, July. I think you're going to see some very good numbers coming out. Next year is going to be an incredible economic year for this country, one of our best.
Trump right there. Yes. Will it be amazing, awesome, incredible? I'm assuming we're going to have a good rebound. How big of a rebound it is, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, kids. Right? Here's what I do know. We don't know. We have no idea. That's what we know. Could be great, could be amazing, could be incredible. If this thing in some way, shape, or form gets to the point where we find a way to mitigate it and or eliminate it mostly, I do believe the rebound will be massive. If we don't, and it's back, and it's forth, and it's this, and it's that, and it's start, and it's stop, and it's bleh, bleh, we're in some trouble. We're in some trouble. From day one that this thing became the pandemic and we realized that not only was it going to reach our shores, it was going to do damage. How much? We didn't know. The debate was always on, and we'll sit here and talk about that. Monday morning quarterback season, should have done this, should have done that, should have done this, should have done that, blah, 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 blah. Here is the reality of it all. Everybody's always kind of said the same thing, the powers that be, the scientists, the doctors, and they've said this. It will decide its own fate, meaning the virus could disappear, right? Could just go away. We're talking it's seasonal. This thing could be massive. We're seeing what's going on in Brazil and other places that have gone through their summertime, and they seem to be kind of left alone. And then winter started to come back, and oh, lordy, 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 here it is. Are we facing a second wave? It's possible. We may never get out of the first wave. What does that mean? We're going to have to make serious decisions moving forward on how we tackle this thing. One thing's for sure. Our economy, the global economy, has paid the price. And that price is heavy.
And we have to face fact that 42% of these jobs will not come back. You're looking at essentially long-standing or permanent job loss of 15 million plus. And for reference, the Great Recession cost us less than 9 million jobs. So you're looking at something almost 2 times the Great Recession permanently.
That's Andrew Yang right there. Permanently. The Great Recession, we lost jobs. So jobs went away. New jobs came back, but they weren't the jobs. We lost $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year jobs, came back, brought jobs back. 24,000, 36,000. We didn't bring back $40,000 a year, $50,000, $60,000 a year. The economy shifted and went to another way. Kind of moved over here. We're doing this now. People care about a lot of things. They care about each other because we're not evil. But they also care about themselves. And themselves have to do with the pocketbook. That pocketbook happens to do with your bank account. That happens to be tied to things like rent and mortgage, car payments, credit cards. You see where I'm going with this? Those things are big. According to a new report conducted by Headspace, 70% of Americans fear they will lose their job in 6 months. 70%. Then in the next 6 months, they're going to lose their jobs. What does that do? That gets in your head. How does that affect you? It's the trickle-down effect. You don't go outside and spend money because your fear is this is going to go away. Your fear is you're not going to have the money you need. So why would I go spend money on things that are, quote-unquote, frivolous in the consumer-driven economic world that we live in? If you're not going to spend those dollar bills, guess what happens? Slowly but surely, it starts to trickle down. Even though you may have money and you may not lose your job, your fear is there could be another wave, and I don't know how my governor is going to react. I don't know how the president and the feds are going to react. I don't know what's going to happen in November. November may come, and we get Biden. We could have a resurgence in this. When he comes in, he may say we're shutting everything down for X, Y, and Z, and oh, my God, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? I get it. There's a lot that goes into this. It ain't going anywhere anytime soon as far as even the psychology of it. We may see this thing by the middle of June, 2, 3, 4 weeks. If you follow what happened with the second wave of the Spanish flu, was big and it disappeared, and it came back in the third wave. Third wave was not as big as the second, deadlier than the first, but you look, March, people dying, people have it. Mid-April, disappears, never comes back again the way it did. Now, did it come back in the same kind of ferocity, but everybody had built up immunity at that point in time? It's a possibility. What the reality is there were waves. And we didn't know about all the things we know because of our technology, because we could play Monday morning quarterback, look back. We have no idea how people are going to react. And by people, I mean governors, leaders. So why would you want to get out in the world and spend money if you feel that at the end of the day, you may lose everything, that you don't feel confident enough in keeping your job? When you feel confident in keeping your job, when you say to yourself today, you know what, I'm not worried about my gig. I know I've got my gig. I'll always work. We're going to be totally fine. Guess you're more apt to go out and buy that new TV. You're more apt to go out and buy some stuff that would be considered quote unquote frivolous consumer goods. If you're saying to yourself, you may not, you're going to tighten that purse string. You're going to hold on to that cash. And that trickle-down effect in the economy is big. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Health clubs going to be reopening soon.
Health clubs and gyms are starting to reopen, at least in a few places. But as you get back into an exercise routine,
wash and disinfect anytime you touch something somebody else has touched.
Dallas physician Dr. David Winter suggests bringing your own towel, hand sanitizer, and disinfecting wipes to the health club. He also recommends wearing a mask, even during your workout.
Keep those rules in mind, and gyms should be safe.
Yeah, gyms are semi-safe. I mean, there's germs everywhere. I mean, it was interesting this weekend. So I didn't do anything. I mean, it was great. I took Friday off, and obviously yesterday was Memorial Day. We did nothing. We went out and did a little shopping on Friday morning. I didn't get in the car until yesterday. I'm like, I need to go get some shoes. So we all went and got some shoes. That took an hour back in the house. I didn't do anything. Remote, took a couple walks. Didn't even go out and kick the soccer ball around. I just wanted to relax a little bit. Normally, I would go out and work out a lot, and I go to the gym probably once or twice a week when it's open. So I'll go run, play a little soccer. The gym I go to is extremely clean. They have the squirt bottles everywhere. They've got the towels, the hand towels you can put your hand underneath and it comes down. And you can social distance enough, I think. But yeah, I mean, as long as you are washing your hands, and that's the key. You wash your hands. As long as you're washing your hands, you're not touching your face, which is hard because you're sweating. You want to wipe your brow. You want to do those kind of things. As long as you're aware of this, you should be okay. And by the fact that you're working out, your immune system should be charged up. And that should be happening. Does it mean that there isn't going to be issues? Well, no, I think there is going to be some issues. There's issues when we come back and we gather in any kind of group, especially with this thing being as easy as it is to spread. But what is the alternative at some point in time? It's to face this thing or not face this thing. And I think that's the battle that's going on at the federal level, the battle that's going on in the states. But workout and exercise is great for your mental health. I don't know what people are supposed to do. Are you supposed to stay at home forever? I mean, that's the Monday morning quarterback of staying home forever, not staying home forever. And by forever, I don't mean forever, but, for as long as necessary. What do you do? How do you do it? What do you do? Can you do what? I don't know. I think at some point in time, you have to face this thing. And I know that people are going to say, well, that sounds cruel and horrible. Remember, when we started this, it was never ever about getting to zero, and the cure was staying indoors and it won't spread. That was never it. It was preparing ourselves for what could be a massive crush on the hospitals and getting all the supplies and stuff we need. It was never about, let's find a cure, let's find a double cure, let's stay indoors and get to zero. That was never it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. I love hearing from you. Hope you had a good weekend. I had a great, relaxing weekend. I didn't do anything. I was telling producer Anthony, I said, I didn't even have my alerts on. I didn't care to know, right? Like, I would scroll through. I thought, you know what? I'll go on Twitter and Instagram and a few other things. If something's big enough, somebody's going to text me and say, what do you think of that? And it was awesome. It was incredible. It was just a great, relaxing weekend. And every once in a while, you need to recharge yourself like that. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you had a safe weekend. Hey, we're back at it, as we always are. Everybody out there is doing their thing. You're at home. I talk to more people who are doing stuff at home. And this could be not just now, but the wave of the future altogether. And I keep telling everybody, get yourself Raycons. If you're going to be making phone calls, if you're going to be on Zoom and all these, video conferences, get yourself the E25 earbuds. Best ones yet. Comfortable to wear. No dangling wires, no stems, 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass. And the beauty of it is, the sound quality is incredible. So when you listen to music, your podcast, it's crystal clear. It's amazing. But for the everyday side of things, you're taking phone calls to your boss, important meetings, to clients. It's great to have something where you don't have to worry about the outside noise just getting in there. The noise isolating fit is awesome, stylish, incredible, and yes, budget friendly, super budget friendly. Cost well under $100. If you were to buy other premium, you're paying double, triple that. Not with these. Plus, I'm going to save you more money. Right now, save 15%. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Save 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Being antisocial sucks. Hang with Chad's friends on Facebook, The Chad Benson Show. And if you just need some alone time, head on over to Twitter at Chad Benson Show. Either way, we can't wait to meet the real you.
If they can't launch tomorrow because of rain, wind, and lightning, then the next launch window will be this weekend. Astronaut Doug Hurley, who will be on board, says if they can't go tomorrow, they'll go when it's safe.
Ultimate goal for us as astronauts and test pilots is just to go up there and prove out the mission and to bring the vehicle home safely.
Before they go, the two astronauts will get final COVID-19 tests to make sure they're not infected.
Yeah, because we don't want to take COVID to space. That'd be awful. So SpaceX is supposed to launch tomorrow. Supposed to. We'll see whether or not it does. It's going to be interesting. The weather's going to play a huge, huge part in this. But this is Elon Musk's company combined with NASA sending out our first astronauts into space since the space shuttle was launched. And they're going to do all kinds, who knows what they're doing, all kinds of crazy stuff up there.
Rain, dense clouds, and possible lightning threatening Wednesday's launch. Right now, there's a 40% chance this rocket lifts off. If successful, this would be the first commercial crewed mission, leading the way for everyday people to someday go to space.
That's right. That's what it's kind of about. Elon's dream. He wants to get everybody up there. Right? Going to go on up there, going to check stuff out. The first civilian in space was not Christy McAuliffe. And I don't say that to be mean, but the first civilian that went into space actually was a guy named Dennis Tito, I think. He's a financial guy. He paid a ton of money to the Russians to shoot him out of up into, and I think he went to the space station. And I'm like, wow, they're renting stuff out up there. They must be desperate. So this is not civilians yet, but they're getting there. And in my lifetime, I'm 49. I expect to live, if all goes well into my 80s or 90s. And who knows? We'll take it from there when we get to that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll see that. Well, I mean, all of us listening at some point in time, and our kids. I mean, there's no doubt. I look at my kids and I say one day, you guys will probably go to space. You'll have the opportunity to do that. That is awesome. That is incredible. If the COVID doesn't get us off, the Rona doesn't destroy everything, there is a chance we're all going to get to space. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. This I found to be absolutely hilarious. I actually played against Livingston. So Livingston FC, which is a soccer club in Scotland, as all of these, as everybody's trying to figure out how you return back to the world, coronavirus. We had pre-coronavirus, now we're going to have post-coronavirus and stuff, and everybody's trying to get the interactive world going in the world of sports, and how do we do these things, and we'll talk about over the weekend the golf that was it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch something new, but to watch Tiger and Phil and Peyton and Brady play each other I thought was great. But Livingston's taking it a little bit farther. They've put out a poll at Livingston FC, which is their team, so you can go to Livy FC Official, on whether or not they should re-sign their goalkeeper, whose contract is expiring next month. So here's the thing. Imagine this. The sixth man on your basketball team, because he's a backup goalie, and them coming to you and saying, hey, should we re-sign so-and-so to a contract? Let you be front office, or your punter, or a relief pitcher. Like, we do that already on who makes the all-star team, but this is total. This is like, should this dude get another contract? Right now, his nickname is Stretch. Stretch is looking like he's going to get another contract. 160,000 votes so far. I guarantee you the entire season, they won't get 160,000 fans through there. So, yes, right now, he's going to get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
There's only one set of numbers, right? This is not pick your numbers here. The question is, at what point do the numbers drop to the reopening threshold? People can speculate, people can guess. I think next week, I think 2 weeks, I think a month. I'm out of that business because we all failed at that business, right? All the early national experts, here's my projection model, here's my projection model. They were all wrong. They were all wrong.
They were. Few reasons. And it sucks that we've made this a political thing, right? Like, it's a virus. It shouldn't be political. But viruses are political. They're absolutely political anymore. They were political in the 80s. Let's be real. The HIV virus was a political thing in the 80s. We didn't know what it was, and then we started to realize, well, who gets it? Gay men and people who are intravenous drug users, and Ryan White got it, but he was a once-off, so we know who gets it, and it became kind of this scourge thing of, we don't care if it's a political thing, and we've done that now. We've made this thing political. I tweeted something a little while ago, and somebody just goes, you're going to be on the wrong side of history. I'm not choosing a side here. It was funny. It was absolutely funny. About the numbers. Are they overreported? Are they underreported? Yes. Do you want to know how wrong numbers are? They say that the Spanish flu killed upwards of 50 million people. In the last several months, before this even started to come out, they've revised those figures, and some people estimate it was more towards 10 to 12 million people. Well, hold on. Who's right? Who knows? You're never going to know. Is it undercounted in some areas? Yeah. Are some states doing all they can to find the numbers that fits this narrative so they can get things open? Oh, absolutely. Are other states overly cautious and want the numbers to be higher? And they'll look for that to justify the things that are going on? 100%. The reality is this. We're never going to know what the numbers really are. And it's politics. We played that thing for you last week. The certainty. Remember the certainty of uncertainty of certainty? And it was kind of funny. And in the parody, it says, how you voted in 2016, I can tell you based on that how you look at this. And I think that's really true as well. People on the right, they don't think it's, look, everybody thinks, oh, you always think it's a hoax. I've never once said it was a hoax. I said it's very real. People on the left are like, this is it. Like, if we don't stay indoors. No, not everybody on the left feels that way. Not everybody on the right feels that we need to open everything up. We just brand people. Oh, you're this or you're that. It's a bunch of crap. It's all a bunch of crap. Here's what we know. We don't know. Certain areas will be affected far worse than other areas. Why? It's the way this thing attacks. New York was hit hard. Why? The way they live their lives. Their life is crammed together, density, build up, not out. Everybody else in a lot of other places like where I'm at, Phoenix, build out, not up. Kind of a solitary world. That's kind of what we do. Kind of live our life in this direction here. I'm in my car by myself. I don't see anybody till a little bit later. Socially distanced already. And I live my life socially distanced. I got my lizards, got my family. We hang out. That's about it. I don't do anything crazy. Like I said, I went out Friday morning and did not go out again till Sunday. And I was only out for about total combined about 2 hours all weekend. The rest of it was walks, hang out with the family, feed my reptiles, watch TV. You know what my life's normally like? That's what it's normally like. That's what it's normally like. But we're never going to know. Stop making this thing political. Everybody's trying to do their best. Do I think somebody like Cuomo wants a state to reopen? Damn Skippy he does. Do I think he's being cautious? Yes. Do I think he's made mistakes? Absolutely. As has everybody else that's been a part of this, whether you're the governor, whether you're a city official who's dealing with this, whether you're the state health director, whether you're the president of the United States and his cabinet and administration. Do I think they've all made mistakes? Yes, but it's easy to play armchair quarterback. Right? Monday morning, look out. I would have made that pass. Tom Brady, I wouldn't have made that pass. In the moment, you thought you were doing the thing that was right.
Our numbers going down. The rest of the country, the numbers going up. Why? Because they never took it seriously. Reopen too fast, reopen without monitoring, reopening without controls. The number goes up.
Yeah. Some places that's absolutely true. Sweden's a perfect example. People looking at Sweden say, Sweden. Sweden's messed up. They screwed up. They're not in a position. They're people that are dying, and their death rate is much higher than even ours. And yeah, in some ways, absolutely. But also, in other ways, they've always said the same thing that we're saying now. Everybody else thinks that magically going in and sheltering in place and keeping this massive social distance is the cure. It's not. Sweden's always looked at it. At the end of the day, we're going to be all in the same place. We've decided to take the elevator. You guys have decided to take the stairs. That's horrible to say, but it's the reality.
To visit Sweden now is to enter a strange land where people can just hang out together, seek shelter from the cold in cozy restaurants, go for a drink or a coffee.
It's been crowded all over.
You can shop for fashion and beauty products, or even allow a hairdresser to invade your personal space.
Sooner or later I will get corona, I think, so.
You've accepted that will happen?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, it's important to look good.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's kind of their attitude. Sooner or later, you're going to be in a position where you may get it, and a majority of people are going to get a very minimal infection that in many cases you wouldn't even known you've had. That's the way that they've accepted this. Now, they've said over and over, well, our goal was never to get to that kind of herd immunity in such a way where they were racing at it, hoping everybody gets it. And one of the problems is the fact that they live kind of a solitary life. About half the country lives by themselves. We don't have that here. We live in families. We live in many cases, the families are generational. You live with roommates. There's just a lot of different ways that they've taken this thing on. But it was never, and I think we keep thinking that somehow it was to get to zero. Somehow this was the cure, and that's not what it was. And it shouldn't even be thought about as the cure. It was about bracing ourselves for what could be the second wave and being prepared for that. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. I do. So, over the weekend, I watched golf. Now, if you guys did not see the golf over the weekend, TNT and TBS had the match. Now, last year we had the match. If you guys remember, it was a one-off, one-on-one, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, $10 million, winner takes all. This year, because of all the things that have gone on, they said, no. You know what? We're going to do something different. We're going to get Tom Brady and Peyton Manning involved. And Peyton and Tom each chose their pro. So it was Mickelson and Brady, Tiger and Peyton. And it was fun. It was fun. It was, first of all, to see how awesome these golfers are is awesome. To see the likes of Brady and Peyton plays a lot of golf. Dude plays a lot of golf. He's not a bad golfer. You watch this weekend, he said, never been as nervous for anything as I was. That the world's watching, and the world was watching. Massive ratings. The match drew an average of 5.8 million viewers. At its peak, 6.3 million people tuned in. Set a record for cable golf telecast. Raised $20 million. Even bigger than The Last Dance, which was that Michael Jordan thing. But it was fun. It was fun. You had commentary. You had Justin Thomas, who's a pro golfer, who's one of the best, arguably top 5 players in the world. He was he was on the course with them. It's pouring rain. You got Charles Barkley, who was also playing for charity. All he had to do was bogey a hole, and they would have put like $500,000 in. If he'd have parred a hole, they would have given him all this money. And he ended up, it was just fun, because if you guys know anything about Charles Barkley, he can't golf. His swing is atrocious. But it was hilarious. And then you had Brady and Peyton. And they were their rivals. Brady hit the shot of the day. It's about 200 yards out, and he holed it. And he told Charles Barkley, was making fun of him, to suck it. So, suck it, Charles. But it was just fun to watch. It reminds us we miss sport. We just miss the day-to-day kind of being able to tune in and watch a baseball game, watching a basketball playoff game, watching hockey or any, we missed those things. And I enjoyed it. It was fun. And it was fun to watch these guys go out, and they had carts, so you could bid on the carts. So Tiger had the TW, right? And then, Peyton had the Broncos on one side, the Colts on the other. Tom Brady had his, and Phil had all of his stuff. And Phil was funny. I mean, Tiger's still, he's still standoffish, but he was pretty good. But Phil was, one time, I think it was like a 330-yard hole. And he tells Brady, he's, dude, whatever you do, don't worry. Just hit it, and it's not going to affect what I do, because I'm going to bomb it. I'm just going to rip it. I'm going to grip it, rip it, and I'm going to try to hit it on the green. And sure enough, he gripped it and ripped it. Hit it on the green. Brady made an eagle. It was just fun We need some of that. We needed that relief. I watched the entire thing from start to finish. That's how starved I was for sports. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Wounded Paw Project. Ernesto emailed me over the weekend. He's the founder of Wounded Paw Project and just says, look, things are, we need some help with the donations just because we're getting inundated right now. And we've got a couple dogs that are close to being able to graduate, and we're going to get them to some first responders. They do need your help. So if you know anything about Wounded Paw Project, what they do is they've dedicated their love of dogs and the way to help veterans, first responders, and their families deal and cope with things like PTSD, physical injuries. It's just incredible. Their motto is to save a paw is to save a life, and anything you can do to help. You can help in many ways. Yes, they take cash, and everything's tax deductible. You can also go to Amazon. So you go to smile.amazon.com. There's a supporting group. You can set up your supporting group to support them, and then you can take your extra car, truck, RV, or vehicle and turn it into a vehicle for change. It is simple. It is easy. And again, a great tax-deductible gift, but it is just awesome. Check it out for yourself, woundedpawproject.org. Find out how you can get involved, how you can help. woundedpawproject.org or call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729 or woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
Boys, give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
We actually did have a great day of golf, thank you. It was wonderful. It was great to be out there, okay? We did the social distancing. I won, of course, which was great. And we pantsed the Mexican groundskeeper. So that's the only time you're allowed to violate social distancing is to do that.
JL Cobbin out there doing it again. Hilarious. Talking, he's a comic and he does a great Trump. He better hope Trump never goes anywhere, at least for a while. Get it while it's good.
We want our houses of worship, essential religious places. We want the essential religious places. Oh, I know you don't, okay? You don't believe in anything, but as a great Christian, I want these places open, and not just the churches, okay? Where they serve chicken. Remember churches? Chicken. Mike, you like churches chicken? Okay, I like McDonald's, but I think Mike likes anything with church in it. He'll go. He's got faith. That's why he's always listening to the George Michael music, right? Because he had great faith.
They serve chicken. He does the best. He does. He's just awesome. Oh, my God. Lord. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Over the weekend, after his butt attack. Now, if you guys remember this, Queen's guitarist Brian May had to go to the hospital because he was gardening apparently violently, and he tore his gluteus maximus. And so he ended up having to go to the hospital. Well, he had to go to the hospital again, this time a little bit more serious.
It's been a painful few weeks for Queen guitarist Brian May, who says it started with a compressed sciatic nerve.
And that's why I had this feeling that someone was putting a screwdriver in my back.
And then while dealing with that, he revealed in a video on Instagram,
I had a small heart attack.
While doctors were looking into that, they noticed he had 3 congested arteries. He opted to have 3 stents put in rather than a triple bypass. And now...
But I'm good. I'm here. And I'm ready to rock.
May says he eats right, exercises, so his message to anyone over 60 is get your heart checked, because you never know.
Yeah, he'll be fine. Is he 72, 75? Pretty good shape still. It's not bad. Like living your life. He's lived a hell of a life, too. I'm sure that there's been some hard living. Not the hardest, but some good living. How's that? So would you call it that? Good living? He lived good. That's what I'm trying to say. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. So I watched the golf over the weekend, but I did watch soccer. So I gave it a second try. It was very interesting. Now, producer Phil, you watched NASCAR. It was just a little different, you said, without the fans?
And I know fans really don't make up that much of NASCAR, but I just didn't find it as exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the racing because you're so involved in the car and rarely do you get that super shot of it, and you can do a lot of different things with racing inside. You can be inside their headphones. You can do all those kind of things. I watched soccer over the weekend, and this was very interesting. So first week it was just tough. Because the cameras weren't right. The cameras were set in the old place. You got to remember all these stadiums are built in such a way now where it's just about where do we put the media and the whole 9 yards as much as anything else. They fixed that this last week. So the focus was on the field. But this I found to be very interesting. In some of the stadiums, they piped in the noise. If you're ever watching the European soccer stadiums, they chant, they sing. It's always there's never a quiet moment inside of the stadium. They put that in. And in some of the stadiums, it made a huge difference in the way that it felt. Because the way they were filming it, you didn't really see any of the crowd. And and even when there was going to be crowd, in certain areas of the stadium, they covered up with giant banners. So it felt a little bit more real. Still different, but definitely more interesting than the week before, which sounded and felt like it was a practice game. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. It's your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I have no disagreement. We must protect the most vulnerable. And depending upon the dynamics of the infection in the particular state, city, region, county that you're in, we certainly want to, in a cautious way, reopening. We can't stay locked down for such a considerable period of time that you might do irreparable damage and have unintended consequences, including consequences for health.
That right there is Fauci. But wait, look, he gets it. You know, the Monday morning quarterback that we do here, which is everybody. What's Monday morning quarterback mean? Explain it to you. Watch an NFL game on Sunday. You go and you talk to your buddies on Monday, and you start telling all the things you would have done, the plays that you would have called, being the hindsight smurf that you are. Hindsight trading. I would have done this. I wouldn't have bought that stock. I would have bought that stock. It doesn't count. In the moment, you do this. Fauci's right. Looking back on it, we should have protected the most vulnerable. We should have said, hey, these are the things we need to do. The rest of us are going to have to try to live some sort of normal life while trying to keep in mind certain social distancing, but not maybe shut everything down. Hindsight being what it is, we don't get to do that. There is no special time machine. At the end of the day, it was never about getting to zero, and it was never the cure is stay indoors and everything will be fine. We need to start to get back to normal. Not normal wearing a mask, not normal where 5 or 10 people can't hang out together, not normal where we're in a situation where we can't go to church or we can't do certain things, not normal where we can have sports, but we can't have fans. We need to start to move towards being normal. It's healthy for us, first of all, in our mind, which is something that I think has been completely underplayed in this. We've got to start doing that. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think we need to know at the end of the road, this is what we're doing and this is where we're going to be. Not, this is the new world and the new way of life. Because it's unsustainable. And it's not healthy mentally, which will cause physical damage as well.
The guidelines are being put forth so that the states and the cities can start to re-enter and reopen. So we are enthusiastic about reopening, and I think we can do it in a pace that would be reasonable and that would get us back as a society from a morale standpoint as well as the economy. I don't want people to think that any of us feel that staying locked down for a prolonged period of time is the way to go.
No, it's never been, ever been. I think a lot of people remember when we first did this. I was watching David Paxman, and he was on with Joe Rogan. But I watch his show every once in a while. I was like at the Free Speech TV or Pirate TV, whatever it is. And he's on the left, and he starts saying, "Well, we should have done this, this, and this." But you have to get everybody to buy into it, right? You can't say, well, we got 15 people here that have it, so we need to shut the country down. It's not the way it works. I said people will get their attention when you have thousands and hundreds of thousands, and you get, unfortunately, a death toll that goes, oh, we should pay attention to that. We should. The reality, we should have done a better job in the nursing homes. You take away nursing home deaths, it looks completely different. In some states, I'm out here in Arizona, 20% of the cases are in nursing homes and long-term care facilities, assisted living facilities. 80% of the deaths. It looks much different. The vulnerable, we didn't do a good job protecting. And even when you do a good job, there is no guarantee because it only takes one. You've got people that are in positions in their life where even the flu might kill them. And in many cases, it probably would. But it spreads like wildfire. That's the thing. This thing spreads at a much faster pace. We should have done better. We did. We move on. It's time now to say, all right, how do we do it better in the future, especially if there's a second wave? What do we do to protect the people in the future while we work on mitigating this thing through technology and medicine, whether that is a therapeutic or a vaccination? And who knows when and if that's going to come vaccination-wise. All the while, the rest of us need to find out how we reemerge from this and start to feel comfortable enough to get back out there and start living.
We had to do that when we had the explosion of cases, but now is the time, depending upon where you are and what your situation is to begin to seriously looking at reopening the economy, reopening the country to try and get back to some degree of normal. I'm totally in favor of that if done in the proper way, in the appropriate setting.
Some states, we maybe went too early. Other states may hold on a little bit longer, and that will cost them financially. And that's another thing that we don't talk about, the financial side. And I'm not just talking about the average person, the restaurant owner, the small business owner, the independent contractor. I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about the state's finances across the country. They're in trouble. How do you think they get revenue? Through taxes. How do they get taxes? You're out buying, you're out shopping, you're out spending, you're out earning. What are they doing now? They're paying. They have nothing coming in. They're looking for the feds to help. And the reality is some of them are going to be SOL. Cities across the country are looking at ways of mitigating this by filing for bankruptcies. There's going to be challenges across the countries to pensions because they're not going to be able to pay out the things they had promised because they never foresaw something of this magnitude causing them to have a huge, massive financial issue in a way that, many of them, had unfunded liabilities. But you could get away with it by robbing Peter to pay Paul. The problem is with Peter, Paul, and Mary all not having any money to rob from each other, then you're screwed. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. It is horrible video. It is going to be out there. You're going to see this more and more throughout the day. You have a black man in Minneapolis who was killed. There was a struggle with officers. An officer, white, was kneeling on the neck of the person that they were trying to apprehend, and it went horribly wrong, and the suspect died. Period. Case closed. End of story. Up to 9 minutes he was on that, and the suspect kept pleading for his life, saying he could not breathe. And now we've got a situation where we're going to be looking around and saying, just once again, what in God's name happened?
I believe what I saw, and what I saw was wrong at every level.
That is the mayor of Minneapolis talking about what he saw, and it is a tough video. The guy saying he can't breathe. Guy saying he doesn't know what to do, can't breathe, he's struggling. And still nothing. More from Mayor Jacob Fry.
Whatever the investigation reveals, it does not change the simple truth that he should be with us this morning.
And it's another one of those situations where police have a tough job and they walk a fine line. And do they cross that line in many cases? Not as much as people would think. In some cases, absolutely. Did this cop do everything that he was trained to do? Yes. Probably. Did he do it overzealously? Oh, I think you could say that. He was there with his knee on the neck. Look, there's going to be an investigation. There's going to be serious questions asked at the federal level as well. But it's another one of those situations where, how did we get here? What did you do? What did he do? And people are going to start, and this is the way this thing plays out. People on the right said this guy could have done this, that, and the other. Understandable, right? But the reality is people on the left will say this should never have happened. Shows you again how racist everybody is. Where do I always tell you the truth is? It's usually somewhere in the middle. Everybody wants black and white in the state. I get it every day. I get it every day from people on Twitter. Choose a side. There's no side. The side is there's right and there's wrong. There's this is true, this is not true. And in many cases, it's true a little bit to this direction or it's true a little bit to that direction. People on the left are going to make this guy out to be a guy that, no matter what happens, everybody's going to start looking into his background. I don't know what the guy is. I don't know what he did or didn't do because, quite frankly, I don't care. I think what happened was absolutely wrong. People on the right are going to go out and they're going to search to try to find something to try to justify the actions. And it was too much. Let's be real. We can say that. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're anti-cop. It doesn't. You can support the police. And you should want to make sure that things that happen get investigated, get looked at. I see cops in here. There's a cop in here almost on a daily basis. There'll be several in here today doing a show. They tape a show once a week. They still come in and do it. I'm friends with all of them. And they'll say, this is the kind of stuff where you look and you say, it was too much. And we need this stuff out of departments like this. We need this stuff out of situations like this because it makes our job tougher. But it's not I'm anti-cop or I am cop friendly. It's each case, you take it as it comes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. So my dog, Doodle, who I talk about, so for all my lizards and everything, I had this little dog, Doodle. I love Doodle. He is a pain in the butt, right? So I've tried everything with him. We adopt him, and he's a little bit older, and Doodle has had some issues with his hips. He's got some fatty tumors that they just bug him. And I've tried everything. We have tried a ton of stuff. So Rough Greens said, "Hey, try this stuff. It's not dog food. Just sprinkle it on the food. That stuff, that dry food is not. It's not. It's nothing in there is living. It's meant to sit on a shelf for years." So we started sprinkling on it, and lo and behold, after about 7 to 10 days, you could see the difference in Doodle. Now we're months into it, and Doodle bounces around like a puppy, And it's hilarious because he doesn't know how to play with other dogs. We got another puppy and little dog, and he just doesn't know how to do it. But it's awesome. Rough Green's incredible. All natural vitamins and minerals, 25 of them, 20 digestive enzymes, 15 powerful strains of probiotics, omegas, 3, 6, and 9. You name it, they've got it. And it's amazing. No GMOs, antibiotics, hormones, fillers, none of that stuff. It's just simple and easy. Your dog's going to love it. Doodle loves it. I'm telling you guys now, Rough Greens has changed him. Right now, try this. 14-day jumpstart. I'm not saying try forever. Give your dog 14 days. See the difference. It's only $14.95. It will be the best thing you've done for your dog. Rough Greens can reduce or completely eliminate your dog's symptoms. Go to roughgreens.com/Chad. Roughgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog88. 833-MyDog88. Rough Greens, we make any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's see what's trending in the world of the internet. Start first and foremost in the world of Google. Amy Cooper, who we're going to talk about in a little bit. You don't know who she is? She's trending, and for all the wrong reasons. Grimes. Well, Elon Musk and Grimes. So not only does Elon Musk have SpaceX, but they changed their baby's name because it was like AEIOU / you know, it was crazy. I'm just trying to figure out. I'll try to do it. I'm going to try to read the name. It was XAEA-12 Musk. Supposedly it was supposed to be Ash. Now it's XAEA-XII. X is the unknown variable. The AE is the 11 spelling of AI, which is shorthand for artificial intelligence. A-12 is the precursor to SR-17, which is their favorite. This is what happens when you have too much money. This is what happens. Enjoy. I would say the kid's going to have a weird life, but I think that's an understatement. Just putting that out there. Jimmy Fallon, we'll talk about him, but he's being canceled. Minecraft Dungeons. Hours of fun for lockdown families. So you can build dungeons now? Yeah, it's the 50 Shades of Minecraft. Chad. Lorena Bobbitt, 30 years later. What is she up to? That is also trending. For you too young to remember, Lorena Bobbitt was mad at her husband, John Bobbitt. So she nipped it off. It's the best way to describe that one. Best way to describe that one is nipped it off. Ann Coulter still trending. Yesterday she called Trump a complete moron. Also used the R word. Said what he was. Oh, God, Chad. Head on over to Twitter. Amy Cooper trending. Sean King, Minneapolis police. Mr. Cooper. That goes with the Amy Cooper story, but not related to Amy Cooper, but part of the story. Stevie Nicks. Happy birthday. She's also trending. And, of course, Tom Brady, and they're still talking about over the weekend. If you didn't see the golf, it was fun. But Tom Brady ripped his pants. So he had to put on, like, golfers will carry these pants that you put on over your actual golf attire, especially like an outfit when it's raining hard. So he had to put on rain pants, and it was kind of funny. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Let's talk about said Coopers. And a little Jimmy Kimmel as well. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We're seeing a consistent increase in stress and anxiety about the state of economy, and that the majority of Americans do fear that they will lose their job over the next 6 months or have their salaries cut. And we know that unemployment actually disproportionately impacts people in terms of a mental health disorder. So we actually see twice the rate of mental health problems among the unemployed, relative to the 1 in 4 people in general who experience a mental health disorder at some point in their lifetime.
Dr. Megan Jones-Bell talking about unemployment and mental health. 70% of Americans, according to a new report conducted by Headspace, said they fear they will lose their job in the next 6 months as the economic fallout from the coronavirus continues to grow. And that has a lasting effect on people. So we've seen the physical side of it when it comes to what kind of toll this is taking on and the toll it's taken on our country as well as globally, this pandemic. We've seen the physical side, and it's not over yet. But now we're starting to get into the other side of it, which is the mental health side, which can be as damaging. And that stems from what? People losing their job, their livelihood, falling into depression, causing all kinds of issues.
Unemployment is known to actually cause symptoms of anxiety, depression, low self-esteem. And so beyond just the financial impact, job loss really can impact one's sense of identity. So this, of course, can activate chronic stress-related physical conditions, but has an outsized impact on people's mental health.
Yeah. And here's something else. When that starts to happen, when you start to get depressed, when you start to let things go, when all of that starts to happen, you start having certain kind of physical reaction to it. When that starts to happen, what do? Your immune system starts to break down as well. So it's a double whammy on the mental side and the physical side based on what? And this is why there's no good path in this situation. And it's not black and white. It's not you go this direction or I go that. No, there's none of that stuff. It's whatever path you pick, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great. Do I tell everybody shelter in place until we find a cure? No, we can't do that. Even Fauci said this is not possible. All right, so what do we do then? Well, do we tell everybody to go back to normal? Well, that's probably not the thing to do, but there's a way that we get there. Either way, though, whether you reopen now or a little bit later, the damage has been done. And the path that you're going to take is going to be fraught with issues, dangers that are not seen at this moment in time, but we kind of have a guess where it's going to go. And at the end of the day, these are the best of the bad options that you have, and you're going to have to choose one.
People are just not talking enough about folks who are at home going through sort of their own living nightmare, if you will, feeling depressed.
There is a lot that we can do, and it starts with our mindset, and that's really behind a lot of our health behaviors, like how you eat, how you move, and how you create the conditions for a restful night's sleep. Trying to maintain a healthy sense of perspective, maintaining a healthy diet, getting some physical activity, and trying to find restful sleep.
And it's hard. Look, I get it, man. I took 4 days off. And by 4 days, I literally took 1 day off. I took Friday off. Yesterday was a holiday. And then I had the regular weekend. I've taken 2 days off this year. Busting my butt. I go work out. I get up at 2 to 2:30 every single morning. I get in. I do my shows. I have this show, my national show. And then I have a local show. That one's 4 hours. I do a lot of work. I try to eat good. Some days it's not. This weekend, I kind of like, you know what? I'm taking some time. I'm enjoying hanging out with the family and feeding my lizards. We're all eating. They didn't want what I was eating. They're like, you know what? We don't want a sandwich, but we appreciate the effort. Now, if you could just give us some rats and some mice and some liver, we'll take that. They love their liver. So, but I did. I enjoyed it. Still managed to get in about 10,000 steps a day. Still took some walks and did some stuff. But today, I'm right back at it. Hardcore. And it helps. You need to figure out a way to take this thing on and try to keep things in perspective. And as we all know, when you're in something, I don't care if you broke up with the love of your life or financially you're struggling or whatever it is, when you're in something, it's hard to see past that storm. But we've got to start figuring this out. We have to start moving ourselves forward. At this moment in time, there is a struggle out there. There's a battle. Battle inside the house. Do I go out? Don't I go out? What are the leaders saying? What's going to happen? Could I bring something back here? Well, I mean, there's all of this stuff going on. And that's why the reality is that when I look at our leaders, I mean, you don't have to like Trump and you don't have to hate Trump. Right? You can look at him and say, I'm not happy with some of it. Some of it I thought he did okay. The reality is could have done better. But would we be saying that about anybody? Yes, because it's hindsight. It's hindsight. And if we get something else 5 years from now, 7 years from now, that comes out of nowhere that's coronavirus-like, you would like to think, all right, we've made these mistakes. Let's not do that again. Let's take what did work, because some stuff has worked, and let's figure it out. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. So there is a situation that has taken place over the weekend. You have a white woman. Her name's Amy Cooper. Amy Cooper's her name. She's white. She has a dog. She's in the part of Central Park called the Rambles. In this park, you're not allowed to walk your dog without a leash. There is a man. He's black. Happens to be a man. Signed at birth. I don't know if he chooses to be a man, but we're just going to go with he's a man at this point in time. She has a mask, by the way, which she's not wearing very well. He happens to say, hey, lady, put a leash on your dog. That's it. And then away this goes. And, of course, it all goes viral.
Would you please stop? Sir, I'm asking you to stop.
Please don't come close to me.
Sir, I'm asking you to stop recording me.
Please don't come close to me.
Please take your phone off.
Please don't come close to me.
And I'm taking pictures calling the cops.
Please call the cops.
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Please tell them whatever you like.
I'm sorry, I'm in the Ramble, and there is a man, African-American, he has a bicycle helmet. He is recording me and threatening me and my dog. There is an African-American man, I am in Central Park. He is recording me and threatening myself and my dog. I'm sorry, I can't hear you either. I'm being threatened by a man in the Ramble. Please send the cops immediately.
Thank you.
All right, it's a little bit much. I don't know what the color of the skin has to do with anything. The fact that he's wearing a helmet. He asked. Didn't seem like he was doing much, right? She's white, black. You can hear the dog struggling a little bit in the video. He was struggling a little bit more than that. She's trying to restrain him, doesn't have the leash on. And it just kind of went south from there and continues to go south. Chris Cooper's his name. Amy Cooper is her name. Obviously, they don't know each other, although that would be funny, but they don't.
I never anticipated that it would kind of explode as virally as it did. I think maybe part of that is just the times we live in.
Which is true. Plus, there's not a lot going on, right? I mean, we've missed a lot. There's been a lot of stuff that has happened, but the coronavirus is front and center everything because it affects everybody, whether it's the economy or somebody you know or maybe yourself who's had it. It is affecting every aspect, and it's seeped into every aspect of our lives, from going to church to worship, to entertainment and the lack of, to no sports, to school, to, again, your business. It's affected everything. So there's lots that we missed on. And this is just one of those things where this thing went viral, and it just kind of went south.
All you have to do is take him over the drive into the other part of Central Park that's not the Ramble, and you can let him run off the leash all you want up until 9 a.m., and you're good. But she said, oh, no, that's not safe. And it sort of devolved from there.
Yeah, it devolved big time from there. And what about the cops?
I hope the cops responded, because if someone called and said I'm being, attacked or assaulted or threatened in the park, I would hope the cops would respond. But I never encountered them in that situation.
Like, really, lady? Really? You want me to come? Again, his name's Chris Cooper. Her name's Amy Cooper. Here's the thing with Amy. She had that dog for 2 years, and I said she had that dog. She rescued that dog. They've taken that dog away from her. No more job, Amy. She's been put on administrative leave from head of insurance investment solutions at Franklin Templeton. She's being canceled. She's trying to apologize, said she was scared. She wants to publicly apologize. Do I think she deserves to be canceled? No, it's stupid. I mean, we're in this world of wacky cancel culture. And I think to myself, dude, is it really like everything has got to be cancel culture? Retro rage is the rage. So this is cancel culture because of that, because she called the cops. But then you've got a woman, and she said she was afraid, but he's a man, but he happens to be black. And you're like, oh, God. And I guarantee you, probably none of them voted for Trump. She can't even blame Trump on this one. Then the other side of things, you got Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon is over party, is trending. Why? Because 20 years ago, he did blackface, and for whatever reason, it's resurfaced because he impersonated Chris Rock, and now people want him canceled. And I'm like, for what? 20 years ago? For what? Well, he did blackface. Okay, stop moving the goalpost. You don't get to move the goalpost back there. If these individuals who love canceling people and this outrage, who last week they were mad at Robert Downey Jr. for Tropical Thunder, not getting the fact that you're playing into everything that was about, which was satire. You're not getting that. But they can't and it's crazy because I guarantee you 90% of the people that want Jimmy Fallon canceled who saw it probably laughed at the time. And the other 90% of people who want him canceled, right? So you got you got two groups. People who saw it, people who didn't see it. 90% who want him canceled never saw it. In this group over here who didn't see it. 10% don't care because they never saw it. 90% who did see it want him canceled, but they laughed at the time because it's retro rage. We have to be angry at. Stop it. Get over yourselves, for God's sakes. Enough. Let's ask Chris Rock. Do you think Chris Rock's good? I think we should cancel this guy. If Chris Rock comes out and says, you know what, we should cancel this. Get rid of this guy. If he does that, then you know what? Fine. Right? We'll readdress it at that moment in time. I don't think Chris is too worried about it. I've had a feeling they've met. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Face coverings, face masks. Those things are the new reality of life. Everywhere you go, you see them. I've got mine. Boomer Naturals. 30-day face covers. Incredible. Made from 3 layers of high-quality, hypoallergenic, 65% cotton, 35% polyester. It's a blended material. Each face covering has been treated with nano-silver technology, which is great because it's also treated with antibacterial and antiviral protection that lasts on the cloth for 30 days, which is great. All you do, room temperature water, a little bit of soap, let it air dry. You can use it 30 days. Suitable for all-day wear. Here's the other thing that's great about these. Face mask is not one size fits all. They have adult and they have children. Nowadays, I see people, and I had some at first when this first started happening. They were giving some out here at the station. They were awful because too small for an adult, too big for a kid. You don't have to worry about this with these. Less than 30 cents a day for these. Use code CHAD20, save yourself 20%, plus get free shipping on all orders over $50. That's code CHAD20 at boomernaturals.com. Boomernaturals.com, code CHAD20. Take your family's health in your own hands. Order your 30-day face coverings now at boomernaturals.com. Promo code CHAD20. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
whether they actually go with the 50-50 revenue split, which has been a non-starter for the Players Association from the beginning, or if they go for something more like a pay cut with deferred money, which at that point, it puts the pressure and the onus on the players to say, okay, we're willing to accept a greater pay cut than we already have to make sure baseball comes back this year. And that's not going to be easy for the Players Association to do.
Now, baseball has the most to lose and the most to gain. Are they going to come back? Are they not? That's Jeff Passan right there. Will they come back? Won't they come back? I don't know. Tony Clark, who is the head of the Major League Baseball Players Association, he's under a lot of pressure. He's trying to save his job, wants to be strong, doesn't want his head handed to him, because a lot of people think maybe last time he wasn't as strong as he could have been. But what they're looking at is they may not get this thing off the ground. Right? So if you don't get this thing off the ground, and it basically they decide now we're not going to do this, and they're going to say, well, it's because we're worried about being sick and watching all the other leagues open up. Let's be real. It's all about cash, period.
Now the Major League Baseball season hangs in the balance, and it's going to come down to MLB and the Players Association figuring out how to split the revenue that they generate in 2020. And that is not going to be an easy thing to do.
No. Oh, and by the way, there's facing a potential strike next year. So imagine this. Let's just play a little forward thinking here. Baseball doesn't get rolling this year. Doesn't get off the ground. They decide, nope, we're not going to do it. We didn't like the money. We didn't get any things we want. Blah, 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 blah. They go into next year. They decide, nope, it's time for us to say, screw it. We're going to hold out because we want a better collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. And they hold out and there's a strike and they lose part of next year or the whole season, which is a potential. You could be looking at a long time coming.
A compromise may, Greeny, come in the form of games played. And that's something to watch out for in the counter proposal that the MLBPA brings back. If they have 100 games, say, as opposed to an 82-game schedule, that's more money they could make, and potentially they could take a pay cut off of that.
It's weird. They want to play more games because it's all based on their dollar figures, and that's why I say, don't listen to people saying it's this or it's that. It's money. The end of the day, it's money. If you pay them all of their dollars, they'll be there in a heartbeat. If you're going to cut their dollars, they want more of the revenue split. At the end of the day, it's about dollars. It's not about safety. I don't think anybody's total. I mean, there may be a few, but I don't know if there's any of them that are like, I can't sleep at night because of this. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me, text the program as well. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I think we're trying to learn right now very carefully about how you reopen safely. You know, we act like we've actually done this before. And besides 1918 and 1919, we've not ever closed parts of America. And even then, the whole country wasn't closed. We're trying to understand during this period of coming out of the closure, how do we maintain openness and safety? And I think that's what we're going to be learning through May, June, and July.
Dr. Birx right there. How do we do it? How do we reopen safely? What's the playbook look like? You open it up. It's empty. There's nothing in the playbook. Why? Who's ever done this before? Ever? No, never. Never done any of this stuff before. By the way, if you look at the Spanish flu, Who did it affect? Mostly the East Coast. Not that there weren't places around the country, bigger cities, denser populations affected as far as the areas. Now, who it affected, which was totally different. When people, let's go back and we'll compare. You can't compare this. Because if we're going to compare the two and contrast the two, let's look at it and say, in the Spanish flu epidemic, pandemic, demidemic, that killed untold millions of people, depending on who you believe, 12 million to 50 million. It's a big number right there. It was throwing stuff. And it lasted more than a season. It lasted about 2.5 years. In that case, 20-somethings, 30-somethings at the top of the health pyramid were adversely affected and died. We know here what's going on. We do. We understand it. Elderly people, people who are incapacitated, people who are not just a little overweight, but morbidly obese with underlying conditions face the biggest challenges here. So we get that. So that's something we can put in the playbooks. Put that in the playbook. These are the people that are affected. Because when we think about opening up, we have to think about what could happen next, which is potential second wave and another shutdown. So we have to start putting stuff in the playbook. So we move forward. We're moving forward, onward, ho, we're going. We know exactly what we're looking to do to not only stem the tide, but who to protect and how to continue to move forward without going backwards. Taking one step forward, then 2 steps back. We can't afford that.
What I'm worried about is what are we putting in place to find asymptomatic cases? This is why we've asked for proactive 100% testing of all residents and workers, and then proactive ongoing testing of workers in nursing homes before nursing homes reopen for any kind of visitation.
Yeah. I spoke to an economist from Arizona State the other day, and he put forward something at the beginning of this, and it's kind of poo-pooed a little bit, but now people are like, man, maybe we should have done that. Again, hindsight being what it is. A lot of people threw stuff out there, right? And it just gets washed over and nobody cares, and then they go back and go, I should listen to that guy. He says, hey, what we should have done and what we're going to need to do in the future, and he does say future because he believes there could be a second wave, and until we get a absolute vaccine and a therapeutic treatment, we could be going through this on multiple occasions, maybe not to this level. And he said, we isolate places like nursing homes to the point where the nurses and the doctors stay there. They do not leave. They're there. They care for. If one family member wants to be there, they're there. They cannot leave. They cannot go anywhere. And if they do go somewhere, they don't come back. And we do it in like 2 and 3 month shifts or whatever, month shift, pay them extra money, and then rotate them in and out, give them some time off, recover, test them, and then have them go into, before they come back, a 2-week isolation period before they come back. And they do that for the people who are vulnerable, both in homes and in long-term care facilities. And that's not just older people, but you also have people who have been in accidents, people who have brain damage, things like my little brother who's got cerebral palsy, he's got brain damage, he's got a trach and a G-tube. People like that who need long-term care, but isolate them to the point of making it almost impossible for them to catch it because it spreads. You've got people with compromised immune systems who don't go anywhere, who aren't moving, who are coming in contact with people who are seeing other patients and in some cases may already have it. And those people who are spreading it may be asymptomatic, and those are the ones that end up spreading. And that's the way he said to approach it. I said, that's a hell of an idea, right? Because we know now. So as we're putting stuff in the playbook, the number one thing is identify the most vulnerable. These are the most vulnerable. Older people, particularly probably over 70, with compromised immune systems or other underlying conditions, people who are morbidly obese, and we're not talking about somebody who's 6'2", 250 pounds or 260 pounds, and they should be 205 pounds based on the BMI. We're talking about people who are like, you're 5'8" and you're 350 pounds. People have really, these are the people that are high risk, and we understand that. And that's the playbook we go on. And then going forward, we do the best to social distance ourselves while also resuming a normal way of life and understanding there is some risk involved, but there's risk in everything. I think we start looking at that. I think we'll start finding a way forward, and that's exactly what we want. But that's the playbook that we have to start rolling out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Yes, another incident on camera. This time, police officer, Minnesota, choking a man out with his knee. Not a good look. Awful.
Police say they received a call about a man who appeared to be under the influence trying to forge a check. When they arrived, they say the man resisted officers. Video shows an officer pinning the man down by putting a knee on his neck. After he was put into handcuffs, officers noticed he was in medical distress and an ambulance was called. The man died at the hospital. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry says what happened was wrong at every level.
What we saw was horrible. Completely and utterly messed up.
Protesters plan to gather Tuesday to demand justice for the victim and his family. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, not good. Now, we'll find out all of the stuff later. Unfortunately, we live in a day and age where everybody has to choose a side, and we want sides chosen in every issue before anything ever comes out. They want you to decide whether or not the movie was an Oscar-worthy movie or a Razzie movie. You don't know what the Razzie is? It's the worst movies. Before you see the movie. No, that's not what it is. I've seen the video. There'll be some other stuff that comes out. Regardless of what the other things are, did the police officer, based on the stuff that I've seen so far, overstep? Yes. Do I think he meant to do it intentionally? That will come out later on. The reality is, this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants us to choose sides right here. It's if you're not supporting the cop 100%, it is absolutely you hate police. And if you don't support the protesters and the family, it's you absolutely just hate anybody of color and think, no, it's not that way. It's not. We got to stop thinking. And this is the problem with our modern world. Our modern world is you have to be all or nothing. You have to be all or nothing. You know when you're all or nothing? Your family. Right? You're all or nothing in for your family. Right? You have those ride or die people that you're all or nothing for. Your family. And your family, you know what? There's like my sister. My sister's a mess. She's an absolute, just an absolute mess. And she was hell to our family for years with drugs and theft, and she had legal troubles and all of this stuff. And my little brother, they're actually my nieces and my nephews, and my mother and my aunt have adopted them all. And there's like 1,000 of them. I still love my sister. And she's done things to me that she's still my sister. I don't have to agree. That's all or nothing. In issues like these things, no matter what it is, we've got to stop being all or nothing. That's what makes us the way we are at this moment in time. Whether it's we're choosing sides on a virus, or whether we're sitting here and picking sides based on a video that we saw in Minneapolis, or a video of a white woman calling the cops on a black man in Central Park because her dog's off the leash and he's saying you should put it on the leash. And it's like, we got to stop it. Cops can be wrong. And by the way, most cops will tell you. And by most, I mean 99.9% of them say they want all that stuff out there too. And those kind of situations gone, because it makes all of their jobs tougher. And sometimes something happens in a situation where it is an accident. And sometimes we see a portion of a situation. We don't get the whole story, when the reality is that not everybody's just a helpless victim. If we could just put aside a little bit of all or nothing, I think it's a good thing. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. This is very interesting. As we were talking about sports, basketball is thinking about coming back. This is weird.
It's a 95% chance, from what I understand, that this is not going to be a 30-team return. Now, what is the return going to look like? Is it going to just be the 16 playoff teams? Is it going to be a format that I've heard called playoffs plus, where it's some kind of play-in tournament or some kind of group phase like you see at the Olympics, where everybody would play a round robin and certain teams would advance into a formal bracket? Is it going to be a play-in tournament with just a few teams playing for the last couple of spots? These are what's under discussion right now.
That's crazy. Brian Windhorst right there. So the NBA's looking at it like, yeah, there's no reason to bring everybody back because some of these teams just are awful and it's just not worth it. And as they're looking at putting it in one single area, Orlando potentially, the Disney complex, because they can control everything, give the players enough freedom to kind of feel like they're doing their thing, and have an easy area to get to play games. I think it would be, first of all, I think it would be huge, just because we're dying for it, something new, or craving it. Secondly, it would just be exciting because it's something neat. A little tournament-like atmosphere. And we didn't get the tournament this year in basketball. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Twitter, Car Shield. Are you protecting yourself? What? You should. Car Shield's amazing. They help you in the case of the what if. What if your car goes and you need to get it fixed? You don't have Car Shield? You're paying out the woo. You do have Car Shield. You've got, guess what? Covered repairs. Covered. That's what it's all about. Totally affordable protection plan starting at $99 a month. Whether your car's newer, it's got electronics, GPS, all that stuff. A little bit older. You're worried about the transmission. They've got ye covered. Payment flexibility is an absolute must. Monthly plans can customize. That's what you do. You call them up. You customize exactly what you're looking for. $99 a month. That's what rates start as. No long-term contracts, commitments. Give you an option to choose your favorite mechanic or dealership. You get 24/7 roadside assistance and a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. Here's the other thing that's great, right? You call them up. You say, hey, I'm interested in it. You go through it, and you can pick, and again, like a menu. Just pick, I'm really into my electronics. I don't want anything to happen there. Boom, transmission, my engine. Those are the things you can do. You pay a small deductible, and you pick your favorite mechanic, and that's it. It's that simple. Rates start as low as $99 a month. Protect yourself from surprises. Call CarShield, 800-CAR-6000. Mention code Benson. See, BENSON. You're going to save 10%. Or visit carshield.com, carshield.com. Save 10% by using code Benson. Or 800-CAR-6000. Code Benson again. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
I can't take it anymore!
Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
It's a summer staple, visiting a theme park. But across the country, they're closed by the coronavirus. Six Flags now says its first full park to reopen will be Frontier City in Oklahoma City on June 5th.
Things are going to look a little different in the park when you get here.
Trevor Leonard is the park's general manager and tells ABC News.
Every guest will have to have a reservation. That way we can kind of control the volume of the folks in the park at first.
Also required, masks. And when it comes to rides...
As you come up on the rides, you'll see that all the rides will be, the queue lines will actually be marked out. So there's a gap of 6 foot in between family sets. As you ride the roller coasters, you'll find that every other row and people will be socially distanced on the ride, so you will only be riding with family.
That's interesting. You're going to find a lot of that where it's as they reopen stuff, and I think you can even do it with sports, where you sell 20,000. If it's a football stadium, they're trying to figure out how do we bring it back? Well, we want to have somebody. Well, maybe it's 15,000, right? 10,000. You space them out. You give rows. So there's some atmosphere. There's some, you can do that. You can. And I think you can. And I think the way that this is going to be done is going to be interesting. One of the guys I follow on the old YouTube, Brian Barczyk's his name. He's got like a zoo because I'm into reptiles and he's got all these awesome reptiles and I've gotten some stuff from him in the past. He gets to open up on Friday. He spent all this money on this reptarium and it's amazing. And he said, look, we can only sell, normally we'd have 100,000 people come through here. We can only sell 50 tours a day. and that's to keep everything going. I think you'll find a lot of these places where it's going to be absolutely limited. And I think, while we get through this. Now, come, middle June, July, things could start to change for the better, for the worse. And then you rethink. You don't write these things in pen. You write them in pencil. Because as we've seen with this virus, it changes on a day-to-day basis. So you start looking around saying, what happens in 6 weeks if we've got no new issues and it is seasonal and we know we're going to have a respite for at least 3 or 4 months? Well, then you try to do what Larry, the mayor from Jaws, did, which is save the end of summer and hope you get yourself going. And just because you throw the doors wide open doesn't mean it's going to be a zoo, because you'll still have people that are apprehensive. But you write these kind of things right now in pencil, not pen. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Change paths here for a second. Barton Gellman's his name. He's a Pulitzer Prize winner. He's a writer for The Atlantic. He was also one of the 3 people that Edward Snowden gave the information to. We're going to talk to him, find out about that. What was he thinking? What's Edward like? We'll talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We were all shocked and rocked when we found out what Edward Snowden released to the world, and it started, as they like to say, a global debate. Joining us now, staff writer at The Atlantic. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning writer, author, and his new book, Dark Mirror, Edward Snowden and the American Surveillance State, is out. Get it where good and fine books are available. Barton Gellman joins us. And Barton, when I look at this and I look at the book and we look back at that time with surveillance and see the world that we're in now, it's crazy and it's scary. And the FBI and there's so much secrecy and wackiness. We didn't know much back then. What was it like when you started to get this information given to you? And I mean, that must have been just an eye-opening and scary thing.
It was overwhelming, to be honest. I was expecting to get one document from a spooky source who called himself Virax, which I guess is Latin for truth teller, and instead I got 50,000. And they painted a dramatic picture of overreach by a surveillance machine that had grown much more ambitious and powerful since 9/11.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing. It's the balancing, right? We want protection and we want privacy. But as we all know, with government, when you give a little, they love to take a lot. And that's the thing that so many people get scared of. And it's understandable when you find out what Snowden released. You're like, wow, this was way bigger than any of us thought.
It's true. And it's also understandable that the government would go after all this. I mean, if you are told that there's a spooky secret threat out there and that you're responsible for making it stop and that any failure is on your head, you're going to want to take every power you can get. That doesn't mean that we as a society want to give them every one of those powers.
No. That Snowden, how did he contact you? Was there an acquaintance? I mean, was he just going, all right, I'm going to give it to 3 people. I'm picking them from A, B, and C, and that's the way it goes. Or because it is kind of, like you said, a spooky source. You're not quite sure where this comes from. How real is it?
He first went to Laura Poitras, a filmmaker, and she wanted my help. She knew that I had some expertise on the issue of surveillance. I'd written a lot about it in my previous book on Dick Cheney. And she convinced Snowden, whose name we still didn't know, to talk to me. there ensued a long period of vetting in which I was trying to figure out is this a nutcase or a crank, or is it something real? And he was trying to figure out whether he could trust me to publish a story that the government would not like.
Yeah. The book's called Dark Mirror, Edward Snowden and the American Surveillance State. It's fascinating and it's scary. Barton Gellman, the writer, staff writer at The Atlantic, Pulitzer Prize winning writer, and the author of the book. And that vetting process, because, at that point in time, he had bounced and I'm sure he had gone underground. And like you said, trying to find out who this person is, he's trying to figure out if he could trust you. That's like real cat and mouse kind of scenario.
Yeah, look, it's a real-life spy thriller, and I take you right behind the scenes in the book. I reproduced the exact dialogue. I mean, because most of it was done in writing over encrypted channels. So I have all our first communications, all the questions and answers back and forth, all the accusations, all the intimations of some deep and dark secrets. And I show you day by day and hour by hour how it played out.
And that's funny because you're thinking to yourself, they have this huge surveillance machine. They can look at everything. And we're trying to do stuff that in theory they could probably see if they figured it out. And that's kind of a wacky thing, too, because this is about surveillance and essentially spying on Americans and other people.
We were trying to peer inside the gate of a surveillance giant without being exposed ourselves. And that is hard to do, but not impossible. Snowden was very, very proficient at counterintelligence communications security, and he taught me the methods. And we bounced our signals around the world using anonymous proxies, and we used state-of-the-art encryption. And at the time, I think we were safe. If they had known to look at us and they decided to put a bullseye on the back of Bart Gellman at that time, they would have found me. But we flew under the radar.
Talking to Barton Gellman, he is one of the three people Snowden gave info to. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning author, staff writer at The Atlantic, and his book's called Dark Mirror, Edward Snowden and the American Surveillance State. It all comes out. You realize he's real. There's Glenn Greenwald. There's Laura. What's her name? I don't want to screw it up again. Portress. Now, did you guys cross-check anything? Did you know there were other people besides her and there was Glenn Greenwald? Just, double-checking, cross-checking to see who got what and if this is real?
I worked with Laura for a while before the first stories came out to try to vet Snowden and figure out whether this thing was real. I never worked with Glenn Greenwald, and we just each did our own reporting independently.
Snowden, what do you think of him? Some people here in America, they think he's evil and bad and a traitor. Other people think he's absolutely a hero and did the right thing. And, for somebody who had actual contact with him, you've got a much different portrait. You got a portrait probably of a human being that thought he was doing the right thing and at the same time also realized that he's given up a lot.
That's absolutely true. He did think he was doing the right thing. He did realize he was going to give up a lot. He's a curious kind of guy. He calls himself an indoor cat, by which he means that he's pretty much in front of a computer screen all day long and all night. I asked him once how much time a day you think you spend online. He said the hours that I'm awake. So for that kind of guy living in Hawaii, which he was in his last assignment for the NSA, and living in Moscow, doesn't make that much of a difference because you're hardly ever outdoors. He's a guy who believed in his cause, believed in his own ability to sense right from wrong, and thought he was responsible for acting.
Did you get a sense like you said, he spends time in there? I was like somebody like that. I'm like, well, what's your thing? Because everybody's got a thing, right? But like everybody's like, they like baseball, they like movies. Is there a sense of like what it was like for him because I know he had a girlfriend at the time and stuff. Like, did he's living in Hawaii? I mean, did you take any of Hawaii and all the things? Because we don't know. I mean, we don't get the human side of him. We see a face. That's all we ever see is that same face and like a white shirt on a Skype screen, and that's about it.
His girlfriend dragged him out to experience nature from time to time. She has since joined him in Moscow, and they got married a couple of years ago. He had an interest in Japanese anime, in in computer games, in martial arts. He was a Taekwondo guy for a while. He's got eclectic interests, and he's sort of a self-taught guy in a whole lot of different subjects. He's one of the smartest people I've ever met. I'm not sure what else I could tell you. He's very serious about his work and about the NSA disclosures, but he has a pretty good sense of humor, and he can be very casual and profane when the microphone is off.
Does he, much like you, did you worry once this stuff started coming out, once people started hearing about this and it was all connected back to Snowden, then all of a sudden the three of you have something? Did you have any worry? Or were you waiting for the black car to roll up with the white van and somebody throw a hood over your head, and next thing you know, you're being waterboarded?
Well, I've never been given to conspiracy fantasies like that, but I did think that we were going to become interesting to foreign intelligence services and interesting to the FBI, and we did. I got on my email one day and Google put a pink bar across my screen that said, "Warning, we believe state-sponsored attackers are attempting to break into your devices and your accounts." My iPad got hacked right in front of my eyes, where the screen gutted out, came back on with white letters marching across in sort of computer language, that discarding the operating system and loading a new one. My laptop behaved so strangely that supervisors at Apple couldn't figure it out. Bliss went on and on. I mean, I found one day, as I'm browsing through the files that Snowden gave me, I find my own name in there as the target of a Justice Department and FBI investigation because of stories I wrote in 1999. So I was well aware that I was under scrutiny, and I did everything I could to prevent that.
It's crazy. The book, Dark Mirror, Edward Snowden and the American Surveillance State. Got the author, Barton Gellman, here. What do you think of today? I mean, they're still doing stuff. They're still overreaching. It seems like it was brought to attention, but the reality is so much is done behind closed doors that's why I always tell everybody, don't watch any of those committee meetings on TV. You're never going to find anything out. It's a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. behind a closed door when real stuff gets done. What do you make of today in the surveillance state? Has anything really changed?
I think there have been changes. Now, most of what the NSA did, it still does. There's one big exception. Congress passed a law preventing it from collecting the phone records of all Americans, which it was trying to do. That say it collected records of everybody you called, everybody who called you, how long you talked on the phone, when it happened. And you can learn a great deal about someone's life by tracing 5 years of their phone calls. That program has ended. Most of the ones that I thought had the biggest impact on U.S. privacy are still going on. On the other hand, because of Snowden, internet companies are now locking down our communications much more tightly than they used to. And so the security of every person who uses the internet is improved since his disclosures. There have been lawsuits that have brought new information to light. There have been challenges in court. So the legal system, the political system, and the free marketplace are all functioning to place some checks on the excesses of NSA behavior.
Does he want to come home?
He says he wants to come home. He says that he would come home if he could get what he calls a fair trial. That's not going to happen. The charge that's laid against him is espionage, and it consists of having classified information and giving it to someone who's not authorized. So the law treats giving information to me so that the public can find it out the same as if he were a spy giving information to a foreign intelligence service to hurt the United States. It doesn't distinguish. And there's no defense. He wants to be able to come in and mount a public interest defense and say, I did this for the public good. It did good. It exposed unlawful behavior, and it's therefore justified. That's not one of his choices, the way the American courts work.
Is he worried that one day Putin will just go, I've had enough of you?
I think anybody in his position would have to worry about that, but I think his calculation is that Putin finds it beneficial to shelter someone who portrays himself as a freedom fighter in his own country, and to tweak the United States as a place that spies on its people. He likes the idea of being the protector in that scenario.
It's interesting. The book, great read. Dark Mirror, Edward Snowden and the American Surveillance State. Got an early copy and tell everybody over there. I appreciate that. Barton Gelman, thanks so much for joining us today. You be safe, and who knows who's going to contact you next. I have no information, Barton. None.
Who knows, Chad? Thank you.
Thank you. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to family too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
More aggressive than usual, scavenging for food near restaurants that haven't been open or are takeout only. Such is the life of a COVID-19 era rat. The CDC warning the vermin are becoming increasingly brazen the hungrier they get and the more they realize trash bins aren't overflowing like they used to pre-pandemic. Reports of roving rat armies, an uptick of rat complaints in Chicago and New York, one caught on camera in New Orleans, scouring empty streets for anything to eat. The CDC with the reminder, rodents can carry disease.
Oh, my God. So now we got rodents that are they're out there begging. Right, man? Just anything, bro. Anything you got. Anything you could spare. Anything you could spare would be a helper. So we've got angry rats because they don't have the things. And then we have murder hornets. Or do we?
Already, entomologists in Washington state were saying the Asian giant hornet really wasn't as scary as some were making it sound. Now they say after checking traps, no murder hornets have been found so far in 2020. A lone Canadian live nest was found and wiped out last September. 2 hornets were found in Washington state last year, but so far traps have come up clear this year. Maybe 2020 will give us a bit of a break.
Oh, thank God. Giant Asian hornet. Why'd you call it giant Asian hornet? Well, if you call it the murder hornet, people are like, it's not really what it is. But if you say giant Asian hornet, you're like, oh my God, you're racist. Can't win. There's no winning. Angry rats, giant murder Asian hornets. 2020 hates us. 2020 has been the longest decade of our lives. I just want you guys to understand that. Just to get it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So you got all these big football things going. All right. Will they? Won't they? Can they? Should they? Will they play? Will they not play? I think the NFL is going to play. I don't think I don't think they're going to stop in any way, shape, or form. I think they can figure that one out. Right? NCAA is a little bit different. And even if it comes back, maybe a little bit different-er, especially when it comes to certain games that start the middle of the early part of the season and towards the latter part before the rival games. They're called cupcakes.
People don't like those cupcake games, quote unquote, but those universities that play those cupcake games and are unfortunately the cupcake of the game, they make so many hundreds of thousands of dollars from playing those games. Those may be in jeopardy too, some.
Yeah, and that is important for them. They're going to go out. You see this, right? It's like, it's Barbizon, Tech versus Alabama. And Alabama's getting like 80, they're giving up 85 points, and they're going to win 155-0, and they're going to roll over these guys. Why did they do that? Why did they go get beat down? It's a great way to recruit guys who aren't going to go to those big schools. Hey, come play here. You're good enough to play, but you're just not good enough to play at that level. But most importantly, it pays for the rest of their programs, their football and everything else. Because you may get $1 million to lose by 70 on national television, and that's worth it. To your swim team, to your women's lacrosse team. Just saying. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Please tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Love or hate. Can I just say this? Gabby's going to save you money. GABI.com/Benson. Gives you apples to apples comparison on your homeowners and car insurance. Takes 2 minutes. So easy, so simple. You could check to see what you're paying for the exact same coverage. Are you saving some? I did it with my homeowners and car insurance. Car insurance, it saved me over $1,000 a year. My car insurance was insane. Homeowners insurance, perfect. On average, Gabby customers save about $825. That could be you. By the way, it's free. They're never going to spam you. They're never going to send you robocalls. Totally free. Takes 2 minutes. Check right now. See what you can save on your car and homeowners insurance. Go to Gabby.com/Benson. GABI.com/Benson. Gabby.com/Benson. Start your savings today. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter. CHADBEN. And have a great rest of your day. It is Tuesday already. God, I love that. Go have yourself a taco. We'll do it again tomorrow. Night, night, Chad.
This is the Chad Benson Show.